In this video, we're going to answer the question, how can I write fractions as decimals? When we write fractions as decimals, we're usually going to start with fractions with a denominator of 10 or a denominator of 100. So for this one, if I have the fraction 3/10 and I want to write it as a decimal, I need to think about the place values that I have in a decimal number. I usually put a 0 and then a decimal point, and that first digit after the decimal point is in the tenths place. And so since I have 3/10, my decimal would be 0.3. This number and this number both read as 3/10. So when I write 3 with a denominator of 10 or 0.3, both of those represent 3/10. Because that first digit is in the tenths place. So when we write a fraction as a decimal and it's a fraction out of 10, we can write the decimal point and then the number would go right next to it because it's in the tenths place. However, if I have the number 3/100ths, when I write that as a decimal, I'll still start with my 0, so start with my decimal point, but this time I don't want the 3 in the tenths place because I need it in the 100ths place. So I don't have 3/10, I have 3/100ths. To do that, I would put a 0 in the tenths place, and then I would have the next place would be the 100ths place, and I can put the 3 in the 100ths place. So there's the tenths place, over here's the hundredths place. So then this number would not be 3/10, it would be 300ths. If you have a number that's greater than one digit, maybe we have 23/100ths, what you would do is put that 0, the decimal point, and then your last digit would be in the 100ths place. So 23/100ths would be 0.23. Since that last digit is in the 100ths place, we know that that number is in the hundredths place. So 0.23 would represent 23/100ths. So, to answer the question, when I want to write a fraction as a decimal, if I'm starting with a fraction in the denominator of 10, I need to put it in the tenths place. So that would go right next to my decimal point in the tenths place. If I have a fraction with a denominator of 100, I need to make sure that my digits are in the 100ths place. So that might mean putting a 0 in the tenths place, or it might mean, in the case of 23/100ths, that whatever number is in the tens place would go into the tenths place whenever I write out my hundredths. I want to make sure, though, that my last digit is in the hundredths place. And that's how I would write a fraction as a decimal.